Week 4, Tonto's Demise recap. I feel like a broken record saying this every week, seems like, but this week was extra crazy. A lot of tight matchups, close ones that did not weren't decided until the end, literally the very end of the Monday night game. If you know who you are, let's see. We had a little bit 2 weeks in a row now. You might have noticed some things changed between Monday night and Tuesday. Well, what happened last week is there was a stat correction for the Denver Broncos defense. Didn't come up until Thursday. So what ended up happening was my team, the Isotopes, instead of being 1-2, we dropped down to 0-3, which moved Nick Foley and Dynamite up to 2-1 at the time, and that matchup was decided by, I believe, less than a point. It was a 0.75, something like that, and thus the 3 points for that blocked kick pushed him up over and ahead of me, and gave me my third loss of the season. So things weren't looking pretty good. Were not looking good after that. I was none too pleased to have that happen, but there's really not much you can do about it. I probably shouldn't have won that match anyway, seeing as how Matthew Stafford only didn't even score 30 points. It was like 25 or 27, something like that. Wow. Nick Foles went crazy in that Eagles-Redskins game. But anyway, so as I was kind of mentioning, stat corrections had a big role in our Week 3 standings, shuffled things up, and as I'll get into here right away, that happened here once again in Week 4, 2 weeks in a row. Very, very unusual. I feel bad for Josh, the fry cook, the twerk and bowl cuts, I mean to say, and because I know how you feel. It happened to me. At least it happened to you the next day, like immediately. I had to wait a couple days to have my heart cut out, but let's get right to it. The first matchup is the defending champ, the Rook, going up against the Twerk and Bowl Cuts. And, well, after the Monday night game, it appeared that the Rook had just missed. He had 121.05, and the Twerk and Bowl Cuts had 121.75. If the Rook had gotten one more catch from Julian Edelman, he would have won, but he couldn't get it. The Patriots put in their backup quarterback and kind of shut it down at the end of that game. Thought maybe he'd get some garbage time points, catches and yards, but that did not happen. So anyway, after last night's game, it had looked like the Rook was defeated by 0.7, and wake up this morning, to find that, one catch for 11 yards had been taken away from Jeremy Maclin, given to Brad Smith, and thus Maclin moved down to only 9.7 points, and dropping the Twerk and Bowl Cuts down to 119.65, changing the outcome of this matchup from a 0.7 victory for the Bowl Cuts to a 1.5 win for the Rook. So congratulations to you. Like I said, my heart goes out to you, Josh, the Twerk and Bowl Cuts. I know exactly how you feel. It's frustrating, but you're only 2-2. The season's not over. You just kind of have to suck it up and move on. As painful as it was, that's what I ended up doing as quickly as possible, and I'm okay with what happened. There's nothing, like I said, nothing you can do about it. So the Rook also moves up to 2-2, like I said, and Twerk and Bowl Cuts look like they are at 8th place. Let's see who we have next. We had the McCoy's Homeboys going up against You, My Puddin', and this one was not even close. A all-around miserable, just ugly performance from McCoy's Homeboys, not even breaking 100. You would have, but the Atlanta defense scored you -3, dropping you down to 97.4. And You My Puddin' had a very smooth 160 points even. So obviously, if you haven't guessed yet, the knockout pool this week, week 4, we wave goodbye to McCoy's Homeboys. You are out. Get out of the pool. You are finished. You're done. And you definitely deserved it after this performance. Not much to say. Let's see. All Varian Foster's points pretty much all did not count. I think I figured this out before. Between, let's see, Hakeem Nicks, LaShawn McCoy, Arian Foster, Greg Olson, and Pierre Thomas. Those 5 guys combined to score you 15 points, something like that. That's about 3 points each from those 5 guys. And the -3 from your defense drops that down to 12. So from 6 of your 10 starting lineup positions, you got 12 points. That is going to lose pretty much every week. So, as for You, My Puddin', didn't have to do too much. Good game from Cutler, good game from DeAndre Hopkins, pretty good game from Frank Gore again. And the Colts defense went up against Tennessee, did pretty good. Like I said, 160 points was easily enough to take this one down. And McCoy's Homeboys drops to 1-3, all the way down to 12th place. And You My Puddin' at 2-2 is at a very comfortable 4th place so far. Next, we had another close one that wasn't decided until the Monday night game. We had Possum Magic going up against the Detonators. I know in the podcasts, the Detonators have taken more than a few jabs at Possum Magic and his roster, and I guess it all came back to haunt you, as Possum took this one down 180.2 to 171.3. Going into Monday night, Possum was finished, and the Detonators still had Shane Vereen left to go. And let me see. It was about a 11.5 point difference. I think. I don't know if you would have flexed him instead, he would have gotten you the points. I don't think so. But anyway, you needed 12 points from Vereen, who was not in your flex spot, so you needed some rushing yards and a touchdown at least from him. Did not come up. He only got you 2.6. Did not find the end zone. Despite almost 60 points from Drew Brees, pretty good game from the San Diego defense. Another great game for Martellus Bennett. Probably, if not the top tight end so far this year, he's got to be in like the top 2 or 3. But wasn't enough this week. Possum Magic has to be smiling because the 1 week of the whole season that he's not going to use Peyton Manning, Ryan Tannehill went out, played the Raiders in London, scored about 45 points. Keenan Allen finally showed up, 10 catches, 100 yards from him. Kelvin Benjamin continues to catch touchdowns every week. and seems like Bradshaw is getting a touchdown every week. And of course, there was in the Thursday night game, Larry Donnell with his 3-touchdown performance. Not sure if that will ever happen again, but I think he did. I think I heard them say he had like 1 touchdown in his entire career up to this point, and he had 3 in that one game. Also, pretty good score from the Detroit Lions defense. Said 180 points total, was just enough to take this one down. Like I said, 180 to 171. A lot of close, like I said before, a lot of close matchups this week, but also a lot of high scores. Kind of surprised, like over like 170, 180s. Oh, Isotopes 200. The matchup that was 196 to 196, which we'll get to. So outside of McCoy's homeboys and the Rook and Twerk and Bowl Cuts, pretty much everybody was over at least 160, between 160 and 180, 195. So an unusually high scoring week to add to the fun of the close matchups. Next, we had the second place Huber Slayers going up against Nick Foley and Dynamite. And this one went down pretty easily for Huber Slayers, 181.7 to 149.35. Much like week 1, Huber Slayers had his San Francisco defense going up against his opponent's quarterback. This time it was Nick Foles instead of Tony Romo. And Nick Foles went out and laid a 25 point dud, while the San Francisco defense, Yahoo says 19. I can't remember, but I think it was definitely a lot more than that. Took out Tom Brady, plugged in Ben Roethlisberger. Turned out to be a brilliant move as Roethlisberger put up almost 60 points. Let's see, Tom Brady actually ended up with 18 points. So that was a decision that definitely decided this one. Pierre Garcon had 10 catches last week, only 2 this week. Not too much going on up and down Nick Foley's lineup, other than the usual 18 to 20 points from Jimmy Graham. Gronk got a touchdown, but only about 2 catches. And a big game from the Miami Dolphins defense. But it wasn't enough. Nick Foles only got you 25 points. As for the Huber Slayers, Randall Cobb, 2-touchdown game, 100 yards from him. 60 points from Roethlisberger. Vincent Jackson with that touchdown catch at the end of the game to defeat our Steelers. Le'Veon Bell, you didn't flex him, but I guess that was mostly due to injuries and bye weeks. But plugged in Sproles, who would have had a rather forgettable game. Would have been a completely forgettable performance if he hadn't had that kickoff run back for a touchdown, which was 9 points there. That's pretty much all that you got from him. And the aforementioned San Francisco defense, big points from them this week, as they did quite well against the Eagles. I believe when the Eagles game, I think was every point the Eagles scored was from defense or special teams. Their offense didn't score any touchdowns. I think that's what happened. But I think so, anyway. We'll get to that matchup in a second. The Huber Slayers, with this win, moves up to 3-1. And Nick Foley and Dynamite falls down to 2-2. Next, we'll get into the other heartbreaker, since I was mentioning the Eagles' defense. This one, in case you didn't already guess, was New Gods Mad Titans up against the Dub C Hooligans. And the final score was 196.5 198.75 to 196.4 in favor of New Gods Mad Titans. So a 0.35 difference. If Gostowski had gotten you one more point, let's see. Let me check my notes here. Kevin was down about 25 and a half points going into the Monday night game. Jimmy was done. Bean had Kelsey and Gostowski left to go. Like I said, it was about 25 and a half. And Kelsey got a late touchdown, moved him all the way up to 23.3. But unfortunately, Gostowski only kicked 2 extra points. No field goals or anything, as the Patriots pretty much didn't fail to show up Monday night completely. This, like I said, this matchup, we'll have to keep an eye on it. There could be a stat correction that could change this one. We could have 2 in 1 week. Not necessarily guaranteed to happen, but always a possibility. We'll have to keep an eye out for that. But what can you say? Not much you can say to console WC hooligans. When you score 196 points, 9 times out of 10 you're going to win. 9.5 times maybe. 19 times out of 20, most of the time, let's say, you are going to win that matchup. But this time it just wasn't meant to be. You would have beaten pretty much everybody else except the team you played and the Isotopes. But that's the way it happens sometimes. And that Monday night game coming down to the wire really made things interesting one way or the other. But so hopefully, as disappointing as that defeat was, at least we got some enjoyment and some thrill out of that Monday night game. As for this actual matchup, Andrew Luck, 65 points from him. He's been just going off every single week so far. Aaron Rodgers kept pace pretty much with 57 points from him. Not too much. You had 2 Saints receivers going against each other. Colston and Cooks pretty much even there. But somehow, most likely, the 1 week since Demaryius Thomas was on a bye, Jimmy plugs in Eddie Royal, and he goes out and scores 2 40-yard touchdowns. Let's see, adds up 27, ends up having like 28 points. A touchdown from Torrey Smith, little to nothing from Bobby Rainey, a couple points from Taliaferro and Zach Ertz. Good game, 25 points. Solid performance from Matt Forte. And once again, the Philadelphia Eagles defense, started by Jimmy here. All 3 Eagles touchdowns in this game were scored by their defense / special teams. I think 2 of them were long touchdowns. At least one. No, one of them, I think. Yeah, I believe just the Sproles touchdown was a long touchdown. But 3 touchdowns in one game. Blocked kick. Yahoo says 31 points. They ended up not even... Even the 3 touchdowns, they ended up losing the game. Pretty much canceling out that blocked kick. But it was definitely enough to take this one down. Even though the Houston defense, which had been bragged about in previous weeks and then went out and scored 1 point, Kevin Wisely did not talk them up this week, and they went out and had a pretty good performance against the Houston Texans, including the 80-yard interception return by J.J. Watt for a touchdown. So you guys both shared long touchdowns from your defense this week. Unfortunately, Jimmy got the better side of that one. Like I said, Kelsey got you 23. DeMarco Murray, 150 yards and 2 touchdowns from him. Definitely the top running back so far this year. But your receivers combined for about 20, 22 points, something like that. Which was, let's see, your 3 receivers scored a little bit less than Eddie Royal by himself. But DeMarco Murray, definitely the combination of Gerhardt and Murray outscored Rainey and Taliaferro by a pretty good margin. But it was the defense and Andrew Luck and the also the luck of Eddie Royal getting 2 touchdowns this week. And New Gods Mad Titans squeaks this one out, moves him up to 3-1, and the Dubsy Hooligans with this loss drops down to 1-3 and falls all the way down to 11th place. But like I said, anything could happen. We'll keep an eye on the stat corrections. Unlikely that there will be a change, but it happened last week, happened already this week, so anything's possible. And finally, the last matchup, which might have been the matchup of the week, had the podcast not taken a break, a siesta, a sabbatical, whatever you want to call it. It was the Kitchen of Love going against each other. Here it was FC Bohoric against the Springfield Isotopes, the teacher and the student, and this time the teacher defeats the student, with the Isotopes taking this one down 216.75 to 181.4. And now, obviously, 181.4, a score that's going to win you probably not 9 out of 10 times, but probably at least 8 out of, I'd say 7 to 8 times out of 10, you're going to get a win with that kind of score. It's a good one, but just wasn't meant to be this week, as Steve Smith went out and got his revenge against the Carolina Panthers. 140 yards, 2 touchdowns from him. Antonio Brown, another 2 touchdowns from him, 130 yards. Touchdown from Des Bryant. 54 points from Matthew Stafford. Not too much from the running game, which I'm sure Brian will point out. Or he would have at least pointed it out in the podcast. Maybe he'll point it out again this week. But didn't matter. Jamal Charles came out Monday night, put up 32 points. I think it was about 20 points then from the Baltimore Ravens defense. Fortunately, I chose them over the New England Patriots defense. And even Blair Walsh got in. Made a couple of field goals in the late night game. Definitely helped me out. But let's see. So 54, 34, 33, 32, 15 and 20 points. Those are going to put you up. Obviously not going to happen every week, but getting some big scores from all those guys put me up over 200. I think that was about actually 216 might be the highest score that we've had so far this year. So unfortunate luck for FC Bohoric, even though Jordy Nelson went toe for toe with Antonio Brown or Steve Smith. Jordy Nelson, 2 touchdowns, 100 yards, 10 catches from him, 33 points. 47 from Matt Ryan, but only 14 from Julio Jones. Would have been nice for you to get a touchdown or 2 from him. Didn't happen. 25 points in a touchdown from Reggie Wayne. Chris Johnson got you a touchdown. Dwayne Allen got you a touchdown. Buffalo defense did pretty good, even in a loss against Houston. A couple field goals from Vinatieri. Perhaps the most disappointing and surprising performance so far has been the rather underwhelming performance of Cordarrelle Patterson so far, other than his long rushing touchdown in I think week 1. I don't know why they're underutilizing him, not giving him the ball. I don't know if it's thought maybe it was Matt Castle, but Teddy Bridgewater went in and didn't really throw to him either. So I don't know what the problem is, because he is probably I don't. It makes no sense, because if there is one player you would target as the playmaker, potential playmaker on that team, it's got to be Cordero Patterson. Throw a couple long bombs to him down every game, at least once or twice a game, see what happens. But 5.8 points from him just isn't going to cut it. But like I said, big games from a couple guys. FC's been scoring about 180, right around that total every week, which he was 3-0. Like I said, you're going to win most games. You're going to win most weeks scoring 180 points. Although, I said a lot of high scores this week. Might not have been. You would have lost if you had played several teams this week, not just the Isotopes. But if you keep on scoring 180 points, and you're going to stay in first place, which is where FC Bohoric is and remains, even in a loss, while the Isotopes move up from last place to 10th at 1-3. So that's pretty much it for this week. Like I said, again, seemed like a broken record, but does it sound like a broken record that I keep saying that I sound like a broken record? But anyway, this was probably. I can't wait for next week, because each week is what could happen that be more interesting and crazy than the week before. And this past week was just, it was crazy. It was extra crazy. I don't know what happened. Lots of high scores and close matchups. Made it exciting going down to the end of the Monday night game. So yeah, there's a couple teams at 3-1. We got a couple teams at 1-3, and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams. So we got three at the top, 3 at the bottom, and we've got 6 stuck in the middle, which pretty much happens every year, I think. So nothing unusual. If you're at the top, you're gonna have to fight to stay there, and if you're at the bottom, you're gonna be fighting your way to move up. As for the 6 in the middle, you could go either way. So we'll see what happens. Good luck to everybody. Coming up here, hard to believe it's week 5 already. Just one last reminder. I believe there are 2 teams who still have not paid their league dues. They know who they are, according to Jimmy. So just a reminder, friendly reminder again, that if you don't pay your dues here very soon, I think you will be losing your quarterback points. Probably not this week, but definitely in week 6 if you haven't paid your dues. So please get on that. We don't want to have to be dicks and enforce the rule, but we will if we have to. Just because if we don't enforce the rule, then everybody's gonna try to fudge it and take advantage. But please, just the 2 teams that haven't paid, just take care of that. Thank you, and good luck to everybody here coming up in week 5. But mostly good luck to me, the Isotopes. Till next time.